안녕하세요. 제 이름은 북극검입니다. Hello everyone. My name is Arctic Bear and welcome back to my channel. So today is a Monday and 월요일입니다. So today we're gonna go ahead and talk about my story. As I mentioned in the very first video I made, we're gonna be going ahead and discuss about the book I'm making right now. So we are here. You probably can see the screen right now. It says iBU or iBU, and that's the name. That's the name of my title of the book. So we're gonna go ahead and discuss about the characters. All right. So what we have here is we have 3 different time periods. These time periods they correlate with one another. One's going back into the past, 1975. Another one's going to the present year, and another one goes straight into the future, 2098. Now, a little brief summary of the story. So iBU is more or less focused on a robot, or AI intelligence robot, that is considered the main character. It's the story circulates around this robot and why these 3 different time periods are such significant factors throughout the plot of the story. By the way, if I gotta mention this, I should mention this now. My story is not family friendly, okay? It is very dark, action based. No, it's not horror, so you don't have to worry about that, but it's definitely action, and it's definitely not family friendly. It's not kid friendly, so do be advised, this is probably going to be your mature plus 17 or 18 years and above. Alright, now that that's said, let's get to the main part of the story. So 1975, we're going to go to this year. This is a period of time in South Korea where the country was in turmoil. Alright, although the nation was slowly developing, slowly building up, South Korea wasn't exactly a developed country. It's developing. The only downside about this period of time was that this was during a time when the country was under a dictator, an totalitarian rule, alright? And the dictator's name was Park Chung-hee. Now, of course, I have to be aware of saying dictator. Some people call him the president, but he did have very similar views to Joseph Stalin, so he's like considered a Stalin of South Korea. Now, if you look here, you will notice that we'll have the characters listed for this year of 1975. You have someone called Nam Sung-soo, who is a former Black Beret Commando, and now he's something called a BSOC. And so what BSOC is, it's basically a branch of the KCIA, which was the previous intelligence agency before it was renamed NIS, National Intelligence Service. You guess you can call it the CIA of South Korea, or I like to call it the KGB, because they were very similar to the KGB. They had their own secret police, very cruel, abused a lot of human rights, so to speak. And Nam Sung-soo and another character called Baek Yuna, she is an internal state security officer, a former, and now also BSOC agent. BSOC's called Black Sun Operations Command. They have something similar to the KCA. It's had something similar to it, but nonetheless, I made this one up. All right, I'm not going to use the real version. The real one was, I think it was called KIP, but I'm not entirely sure. Nonetheless, though, it's very secretive, highly secretive. But they had an agency where it's similar to, I guess you could say, the SAD of the CIA, Special Activities Division. Well, now it's called Special Activities Center. But yes, so these 2 are your main characters: Nam Sung-soo, Baek Yuna. You have Yoon Sung-hyun, There's going to be also another character there, not main characters, but still you'll see him. He's the BSOC director, meaning he's the head of it. Itsuko Katsumura, who is a Japanese agent. The PSIA, which still exists to this day. It's been called that for a while now. Ryu Gyeong-hoon, Unit 684, which used to be a black operations unit of the Air Force. Disbanded for various reasons. But we'll get to that one later. Next we also have the present year. Now we're moving on from 1975 to present year. So present year, we have someone called Tae-hyun, and he is one of the main characters as well. He's an SNU, meaning he's a Seoul National University student. If you don't know, Seoul National University is the best school in Korea. All right, so that means this guy did his education. This guy really kicked the bucket for this, right? Busted his ass off to get into this school, the Cambridge, the Oxford, or the Harvard of Korea, really, with an extremely low acceptance rating, but still. He works at Hybex, which is the company that is run by Dr. Cho. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to call him Cho Min-woo. I don't know if I'm going to keep his name there, but nonetheless, he's the main antagonist, Cho Min-woo, and he's right here. You'll see right here, he's right here. You'll notice it's there. My cursor is off right now, I think. If it's on, then you'll notice I'm making a circle. If it's off, then you'll notice the name Cho Min-woo is there. It's called quote-unquote Dr. Cho. He's right there. Main antagonist, CEO of Hybex, that's who I am. Yes, I put myself in my own story. I know I'm the villain. I have to play the villain. I hate being a hero. Now, Jung Jin-ho, he is the other main character of this year. He is a police officer, and he's a good friend of Tae-hyun. One of the few friends. Cool guy, super laid back, I guess, and extremely smart. And he's going to be joining the SOU, which is the Special Operations Unit. It's like the SWAT team of Korea. Jeong Kyung-soo and Ryu Gyeong-hoon. And I just talked about Cho Min-woo, he's the main antagonist. But Jeong Kyung-soo and Ryu Gyeong-hoon, they're also villains as well. They're both they're both CEOs, as well as Dr. Cho. They all are part of a faction, so to speak. They're all part of what we know as the Trinity Expo. It's called the Trinity, or just the Trinity, the trio, the three kings. They work together, and they're all villains. All of them, all three of them. They're the main bad guys. They are pretty twisted, because what they'll do is they want to play this game where they take 10 participants. All 10 participants have to fight and kill each other to become the winner, and if you become the winner of the game, and if you win, then you will move on to being the actual CEO, the next CEO of the company. But they do this not just for entertainment. There's more of a darker reason behind this. It's actually just focused on Dr. Cho. You see, Kyung-soo and Gyeong-hoon, they don't really know about. They just participate in this as like a faction once again. But Dr. Cho is the main villain, so he's hiding something far darker than the others. And again, when we go through these episodes, we'll discuss more about. You'll see where all this ties together. It might seem like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but trust me, there's definitely a story behind all this. Jung Hae-won, she's the wife of Kyung-soo. Oh Mi-yeon, she's Tae-hyun's stepmother, adoptive mother. Tae-hyun's mother, you'll see what happens to her. Her name is Nahi, but you'll see what happens to her. There's a reason why I didn't put her here. Ha Jung-ok, the school bully, police officer, eventually the partner of Jin-ho, because he's also another member of the SOU. And Yi Soo-bin, which is Jung-ho's girlfriend. Now, next one we have is the last year, is 2098. This one is more or less related to far into the future now. We're no longer in the present, we're no longer in the past, we're now far into the future. And now we have iBU. And that's where iBU comes in. The AI robotic killer drone. He's actually a really sweet and gentle character. He was built for that reason. Naro, Ibu's supposed friend, he's a potential enemy. Again, when we get more and more into the story, you'll get to see where all these characters tie together. Mono is secretly identified. He is the quote-unquote other version of Dr. Cho, but I'm not going to get into much detail about that one. But in the distant future, Ko Yeon-hee, former maid back in the present year, skilled fighter. And again, you might think, okay, how is Yeon-hee survive from whatever the present year is, which is right now, right? 2026, and how is she still alive in 2098? Well, again, when we get into the story, when we get into the main plot of the story, then everything will make more sense, right? I'm just introducing the characters right now, and I'm just introducing just a sliver of what the story is really going to be about. Han Jun-won, he's a 707th fighter, and meaning it is basically the Delta Force of South Korea, the prime special ops of Korea, right? Extremely well trained, one of the best counter-terrorist units out there. Hellhound, skilled fighter. Okay, cool. So those are your characters. Now, again, all three stories relate to each other, each event carried out within 3 different time periods. Okay, so 1975, ibu was a 3-letter code used by the Korean government. Okay, supposedly during the time in 1975 when Park Chung-hee was a dictator, he wanted to build nuclear weapons. Now, this was a secret event. No one knew about this. Not even some Koreans know about this. But at that time, there was a secret program going on in the country. 1971, when Park Chung-hee wanted to procure nuclear weapons, right? Mind you, during that period of time, North Korea did not have nuclear weapons. And so this was, it's interesting that South Korea procured it earlier before North Korea did. But he couldn't do this because of the parliament. So he got rid of the National Assembly, which is called the Congress of Korea, Parliament, and by implementing the Yushin Constitution, which is in 1972, abolished it. Like, it completely erased the National Assembly. It gave him absolute power to do whatever he wanted. Hence, it gave him absolute power to go ahead and implement the policy of a nuclear program. Something that the CIA, something that Washington, Moscow, and Beijing did not like. All right, so there's a unit called D9. They were formed after when Washington found out that Korea was going to build nuclear weapons, and thanks to the help from the French. So Washington basically said, yeah, hell no. I'm not going to let Korea build nuclear weapons. They already built 3 hydrogen bombs. There's no way I'm going to let you build more. Or any nuclear bombs. Any nuclear missile of any sort. You know what? You can build missiles, but it has to be under 800 kilometers. So make sure it's under that, right? That means no ICBMs, not even any intermediate ballistic missiles. None of that. Only short range. Shucks, right? Well, that's why D9 was formed. 9 officials of the Korean government wanted to continue this process of nuclear program, and they'll do anything they can. Like, they will eliminate anyone just to let this happen. This actually continued until well into 1999, early 2000, when they were officially disbanded. But because supposedly 1974 was when South Korea is not supposed to happen. They're not supposed to have nuclear weapons. But the 9 officials were like, well, fuck that. I kind of want to have nuclear weapons. And so I'm going to go ahead and continue this process of building and procuring nuclear weapons, whether or not the world likes it. Right? So that was basically it. iBU is a 3-letter code used by the Korean government. That's obviously not the real code. I don't know what the real code is. No one really knows, actually, to this day. But there was a 3-letter code that they used, and I think it's IBS. But it's super controversial. Like, some people are saying it's TAP, or some people are saying it's SEU. No one knows the real reason. I don't know what the real letter code is. I'm making mine up. iBU, using that one. Okay, so that's where iBU comes in. It's a 3-letter code that was used to communicate, not only just to communicate with one another. It's like a program they use. It's pretty difficult to grapple around. That's why no one really knew about it. But iBU was supposedly, or not iBU, but this three-letter code was supposedly used to activate Korea's secret nuclear program. Basically, like our kill chain to this modern day South Korea is something called kill chain, which is the Korean massive retaliation or massive punishment and retaliation. It's basically like that. So that's what that is. And so that's where iBU comes into play for that one. He's not a robot in this one, but the three-letter code that's exactly where it comes to be. In the present year, iBU is hidden from the public eye. Okay, so this is when iBU was built, the robot, but no one really knows about iBU. No one really knows where this iBU character came from. So, well, Hybex built iBU, right? But no one really knows the reason behind iBU. And again, we're gonna get into more with that into the story. And then, and he's supposedly banned because he attacked an official as an AI robot. If that ever happens, obviously the project is gonna be canceled, and iBU is again banned. Obviously, Dr. Cho being the main villain, he has some tricks up his sleeve. Last but not least is 2098. Far into the distant future, iBU's still around, but this time activated, the main character here, and he goes throughout his life and is able to nitpick and start to slowly gain memory of what exactly happened during the war, or during the end of, or I guess the end of days, and why he was built, the reason he was built, and exactly what happened. So again, these 3 years, they kind of go back to back. They kind of intertwine with one another. And we'll get, obviously, I'm not going to get into too much detail about this. I'm just giving you the synopsis of what to expect when we get into these stories. Protagonists, we have antagonists, and there we have it. So that's really the story. So it focuses mostly on iBU, and once again, why iBU is such a key character in my book, or in this case, the story. I hope you found this interesting. We are going to move on to episode 1 next time. And forgot to mention, every Sunday I'm going to be uploading my videos now. I was thinking about doing Wednesday, but I was like, you know what? I'm kind of like a perfectionist in a way, I guess you could say. So I like to keep my videos like set in stone. So bear with me. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Again, hopefully you enjoyed my story. I apologize because you probably could not see. Yep, you could not see my cursor. Yep, that's as expected, of course. So sorry about that. And again, thank you. Thumbs up. Great. And I will see you in the next video. Alright. 감사합니다. 안녕하세요, 여러분. 제 이름은 북극감입니다. Hello, everyone. It's me, Arctic Bear, once again. I forgot to mention that I have 3 photos to show. They're my designs of at least 3 of the characters. Obviously, there's many more characters into the story, but I just wanted to show you the 3 characters, or the 3 designs I have for now. So this one right now is iBU. He is in this robot form. This one, you'll see him mostly in the distant future. I mean, this is the kind of design that you probably would see in the far future, not anytime recent or not anytime present. But still, he will see him during the present year, maybe like once or twice. That's really it. But for the future, oh yeah, you'll see him everywhere. And then obviously in 1975, this guy would not have existed. So this is iBU in his character form. Looks great, doesn't he? And I really like this design. So let me know in your comments below how you like the design of iBU. Next, this is Tae-hyun's father. As I mentioned, remember Jeong Kyung-soo? Well, this is this guy right here. Super strict. Yes, he's not human, I know. But super strict, tough guy, right? Doesn't really smile. Always frowns, right? And being a wealthy being a wealthy man who runs this mega corporate hotel, you know, it kind of makes sense why he cares more about his customers rather than Tae-hyun. Unfortunately, money is all that in his eyes, right? I guess you could say he's kind of like the Ebenezer Scrooge of Korea. Well, now he obviously would deny that, but who's gonna be siding with the villain? Well, I would. Anyways, this is Jeong Kyung-soo. This is Taehyun's father. This is Taehyun himself. This is Taehyun. He's the son. This guy, smartest guy in Korea. I think he literally is the smartest man in Korea, right? Why do I say this? He got a perfect score on the Sunung. If you don't know what the Sunung is, it's South Korea's CSAT, College Scholastic Ability Test. It's one of the world's most difficult exams. It's around the same level as Gaokao. And perhaps, just perhaps, maybe equivalent to the A levels in England. But he got a perfect score. Only 9 students really in Korea really get a perfect score on this exam, and Taehyun's one of them. So congratulate this kid. Right, SNU student, Seoul Nash University. Well done. Now, he doesn't attend Seoul Nash University. Well, he does, but he attends their physics department, which is I made it up, Junghan Institute of Physics. All right. It's equivalent, so to speak, to the Helsinki Institute of Physics or the Zurich Institute of Physics, or Zurich University of Physics. That's his major, is physics. Extremely bright kid, extremely bright guy, right? And Taehyun is a very laid back, usually a chill person. Resents his father a lot, and again, we're gonna get into the story for that one later down the line. So these are 3 characters, all right, and that's all I want to show. All right, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day. See you next time. Bye bye.